good evening, and welcome to Cozy Sleep Time. Before we begin tonight's story, take a quiet moment to settle in and get comfortable. Find a position where your body can fully relax, whether you're lying in bed, resting on a couch, or simply unwinding after a long day. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing slow down just a little. There is nowhere else you need to be and nothing else you need to do. Here on Cozy Sleep Time, we explore calm and gentle topics, stories designed to help the mind slow down and drift peacefully toward rest. Each story moves slowly, gently, allowing your thoughts to wander and your body to relax more and more. Our story tonight is about caves and underground worlds. As the story unfolds, you can simply listen, or you can allow your mind to drift. There's no need to stay focused. If your thoughts wander, that is perfectly natural. So take one more slow breath, get comfortable, and let the quiet story begin. Tonight we explore the hidden world beneath our feet, a realm of caves and underground passages that stretches beneath every continent on Earth. Caves are among the most mysterious and least explored places on our planet. They form over thousands and millions of years, carved by water, shaped by geological forces, and filled with formations that grow at the rate of a human hair per year. Entering a cave is like stepping into another world, a world of complete darkness, absolute silence, and timeless patience. The journey into the underground begins at the cave entrance, where the familiar world of light and sound slowly gives way to something entirely different. The entrance to a cave is a place of transition. Here, at the boundary between the surface world and the underground realm, the light begins to fade and the sounds of the outside world grow distant. The temperature drops as you move deeper, stabilizing at the average annual temperature of the region. The air becomes still and heavy, carrying the cool, damp smell of stone and ancient water. Plants that need sunlight give way to mosses and ferns that thrive in the dim light of the entrance zone. Beyond this point, in the deeper darkness, no plants can grow at all. The entrance is a threshold, a doorway into a world that operates by different rules than the one we live in above ground. Caves form in many different ways, but the most common are solution caves, which form in limestone and other soluble rocks. Rainwater absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and from the soil as it falls, becoming weakly acidic. Over thousands of years, this acidic water slowly dissolves the limestone, creating cracks, fissures, and eventually large chambers and passages. The process is incredibly slow, often taking hundreds of thousands or even millions of years to create a significant cave system. The water follows the path of least resistance through the rock, following joints and fractures, gradually enlarging them into the passages that cavers explore today. The shapes and patterns of solution caves are determined by the geology of the rock, the flow of water, and the passage of time. The entrance zone is the most biologically diverse part of a cave. Here, where some light still penetrates, specialized plants and animals have adapted to the dim conditions. Mosses grow on the damp walls, their green forms slowly spreading across the stone. Ferns unfurl in the shelter of the entrance, their delicate fronds reaching toward the faint light from outside. Insects and spiders live in the cracks and crevices, feeding on the organic matter that blows in from the surface. Bats often roost in the entrance zone, hanging from the ceiling in clusters, their high-pitched calls echoing in the darkness as they prepare for their nightly hunt. The entrance is a place of life, but it is also a place of transition to a world where life takes very different forms. Below the entrance zone lies the twilight zone, where the light from the surface is too dim for plants to grow. This is the realm of eternal dusk, where the walls and floor are bare rock, where the only colors are the grays and browns of the stone itself. In this zone, the air becomes noticeably cooler and the silence deeper. The sounds of the surface are gone, replaced by the drip of water, the occasional flutter of bat wings, and the echo of your own footsteps on the stone floor. The Twilight Zone is a place of transition between the surface world and the deep cave, and it prepares the visitor for the complete darkness that lies beyond. Beyond the Twilight Zone lies the Dark Zone, the true cave environment where no light has ever reached. This is the realm of eternal night, where the only illumination comes from the lights that humans carry with them. In the Dark Zone, the temperature remains constant year-round, and the humidity approaches 100%. The air is still and heavy, carrying the smell of wet stone and ancient minerals. Water drips steadily from the ceiling, slowly building the formations that give caves their otherworldly beauty. In the Dark Zone, time seems to slow down. The formations grow at an imperceptible rate, and the silence is so complete that you can hear your own heartbeat. The transition from the entrance through the Twilight Zone to the Dark Zone is one of the most profound experiences that a person can have in nature. As the light fades, the world shrinks to the small circle illuminated by your headlamp. The darkness presses in from all sides, a physical presence that you can almost feel against your skin. Your other senses sharpen to compensate for the loss of sight. You become aware of the temperature of the air, the texture of the rock beneath your fingers, the distant sound of dripping water, the smell of the stone. In the complete darkness of the deep cave, you become acutely aware of your own presence, your own breathing, your own heartbeat. Caves have attracted humans for thousands of years. Ancient people used caves for shelter, for ceremony, and for art. The cave paintings of Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain are among the oldest known works of art, created more than 30,000 years ago by people who ventured deep into the darkness with only torches for light. These paintings depict animals, hunting scenes, and abstract symbols, and they reveal that even our ancient ancestors were drawn to the mystery and power of the underground world. Caves have always held a special place in the human imagination, representing both the womb of the earth and the gateway to the underworld. There is a particular kind of peace that comes with being underground. In the cave, there is no wind, no weather, no change of seasons. The temperature is constant, the humidity is constant, and the darkness is absolute. The only sounds are the sounds that you make yourself and the eternal drip of water on stone. In this environment, the mind naturally slows down. The constant stimulation of the surface world is left behind, and you are free to focus on the simple presence of being in the cave. The underground world offers a kind of silence that is increasingly rare in our modern world, a silence that is not empty, but full of the slow, patient processes that shape the earth itself. Caves begin as cracks in the earth. All caves, regardless of their size or shape, start with a weakness in the rock, a fracture, a joint, a bedding plane, some place where the solid stone is just a little bit less solid than the rock around it. Water finds these weaknesses, and over time, water transforms them into caves. The process is slow beyond human comprehension, measured in hundreds of thousands and millions of years. But the patience of water is infinite, and given enough time, water can carve cathedrals out of solid stone. The most common type of cave is the solution cave, formed in limestone and other carbonate rocks. Limestone is a sedimentary rock composed primarily of the calcium carbonate shells of ancient marine organisms. Millions of years ago, the limestone was deposited on the floor of warm, shallow seas. Over time, these deposits were compressed into rock and uplifted to form the land we see today. When rain falls through the atmosphere, it absorbs carbon dioxide, forming a weak carbonic acid. As this mildly acidic water seeps through the soil, it absorbs even more carbon dioxide from the decomposition of organic matter. By the time it reaches the limestone bedrock, the water is acidic enough to slowly dissolve the calcium carbonate. The dissolution of limestone by acidic water is a chemical reaction that occurs at the molecular level. The acid in the water reacts with the calcium carbonate to form calcium bicarbonate, which is soluble in water. This dissolved calcium bicarbonate is carried away by the flowing water, slowly removing the rock molecule by molecule. Over thousands of years, this process enlarges the cracks and fissures in the limestone, eventually creating the passages and chambers that we recognize as caves. The rate of dissolution depends on many factors, including the acidity of the water, the temperature, and the purity of the limestone. In general, the process is very slow, typically removing only a few hundredths of a millimeter of rock per year. Not all caves form in limestone. Lava tubes form when the surface of a lava flow solidifies, while the molten rock beneath continues to flow. When the eruption ends and the molten rock drains away, it leaves behind a hollow tube. Lava tubes can be quite extensive, with some systems stretching for many kilometers. Sea caves form when waves erode weaknesses in coastal cliffs, carving tunnels and chambers into the rock. Glacier caves form when meltwater flows through or beneath glaciers, creating tunnels in the ice. Talus caves form when boulders pile up in such a way that they create spaces between them. Each type of cave has its own unique characteristics, but all of them are shaped by the same fundamental forces of water, time, and geology. The geology of caves is intimately connected to the geology of the surrounding landscape. Caves are not random features, but are organized by the structure of the rock and the flow of water through it. The joints and fractures in the limestone determine the path that water follows, and therefore the shape of the cave passages. The bedding planes, the layers of sedimentary rock, create horizontal pathways that water follows as it dissolves the rock. The dip of the rock layers determines the angle at which passages form. Understanding the geology of an area allows cavers to predict where caves are likely to form and how they might connect underground. The rate of cave formation varies enormously depending on the local conditions. In tropical regions with abundant rainfall and warm temperatures, caves can form relatively quickly over tens of thousands of years. In arid regions with little rainfall, the process is much slower. The purity of the limestone also matters, as impurities can slow or prevent dissolution. Some of the most spectacular caves in the world are found in areas of very pure limestone, where the rock is almost entirely calcium carbonate and the dissolution process can proceed unimpeded. The shape of a cave is determined by the way water flows through the rock. In the vadose zone, above the water table, water flows downward through the rock, creating vertical shafts and steep passages. In the phreatic zone, below the water table, the rock is saturated with water and the passages tend to be more rounded and tubular, shaped by the slow movement of water under pressure. As the landscape evolves and the water table changes, caves can be modified by both vadose and phreatic processes, creating complex three-dimensional networks of passages that reflect the geological history of the region. Caves are not static features, but are constantly changing. Water continues to flow through them, slowly dissolving the rock and reshaping the passages. Formations grow on the ceilings, walls, and floors, adding new layers of mineral deposits. Collapses occur when passages become too large to support their own weight, creating new chambers and blocking old passages. Over geological time, caves are born, grow and eventually die, filling with sediment or collapsing entirely. The caves we explore today are just a snapshot in a process that has been ongoing for millions of years. The study of cave geology has revealed important information about Earth's history. The sediments deposited in caves contain records of past climates, past landscapes, and past life. Stalagmites and stalactites can be dated using uranium-thorium dating, providing precise records of climate change over hundreds of thousands of years. The isotopes of oxygen and carbon in cave formations reveal information about temperature and vegetation at the time they formed. By studying cave formations, scientists have reconstructed detailed records of past climate change that have helped us understand the natural variability of Earth's climate system. Cave formation is a reminder of the power of slow, patient processes. The same forces that carve caves also shape the entire landscape over geological time. Water, the most common substance on Earth, is also one of the most powerful geological forces, capable of dissolving solid rock and carving vast underground chambers. The formation of caves is a testament to the patience of nature, the power of water, and the immense spans of time over which the Earth has been shaped and reshaped. The most beautiful and remarkable features of caves are the formations that grow within them, the stalactites, stalagmites, and columns that transform underground passages into natural galleries of stone. These formations, collectively called speleothems, are created by the deposition of minerals from water that seeps through the cave. They grow at an almost imperceptible rate, often taking thousands of years to reach even a modest size. Each formation is a unique record of the conditions under which it formed, a slow-motion sculpture created by the patient work of water and time. Stalactites are the most familiar of all cave formations, icicle-shaped structures that hang from the ceiling of a cave. They form when water seeps through cracks in the limestone above the cave, dissolving calcium carbonate as it passes through the rock. When this mineral-rich water reaches the cave ceiling, it emerges as a drop that hangs from the ceiling. As the drop hangs, some of the water evaporates, and a tiny ring of calcium carbonate is deposited around the edge of the drop. Over thousands of years, these rings accumulate, building downward into a long, tapering cone. A stalactite grows at an average rate of about 1 cubic centimeter per 100 years, which means that a stalactite 1 meter long may be 10,000 years old or more. Stalagmites are the counterparts of stalactites, growing upward from the cave floor. They form when water drips from a stalactite above and falls to the floor, depositing calcium carbonate where it lands. Over time, these deposits build upward into a rounded, mound-like formation. Stalagmites are generally broader and more massive than stalactites because the water splashes when it hits the floor, spreading the deposit over a wider area. The tallest stalagmites in the world can reach heights of more than 30 meters, representing hundreds of thousands of years of continuous growth. When a stalactite and a stalagmite grow together, they form a column, a pillar of stone that stretches from the floor to the ceiling of the cave. Columns are among the most impressive formations in any cave, creating natural architectural features that rival the columns of human-built cathedrals. The process of column formation is extremely slow, requiring the stalactite above and the stalagmite below to grow in exactly the same place for thousands of years until they finally meet. Once joined, the column continues to thicken as water flows down its sides, depositing additional layers of calcium carbonate. Helictites are among the most mysterious and beautiful of all cave formations. Unlike stalactites, which grow straight down in response to gravity, helictites grow in twisted, curving, apparently gravity-defying patterns. They can grow sideways, upward, or in spirals, branching like coral as they extend from the cave walls and ceilings. The mechanism by which helictites form is still not fully understood, but it is believed to involve capillary forces that draw water through tiny central canals in the formation. The water emerges at the tip and is deposited in microscopic amounts, slowly building the twisted, branching structures that make helictites so distinctive. Flowstone is a sheet-like formation that covers cave walls and floors, created by water that flows in a thin film over the surface. As the water flows, it deposits calcium carbonate, creating smooth, layered formations that resemble frozen waterfalls. Flowstone can take many forms, from thin, translucent sheets to massive, undulating deposits that cover entire walls. The surface of flowstone is often rippled and wavy, reflecting the path that the water followed as it flowed down the rock. Flowstone is one of the most common formations in caves, and it creates some of the most visually striking features of the underground environment. Cave pearls are spherical formations that form in shallow pools of water on the cave floor. They grow when a small grain of sand or other debris becomes coated with layer after layer of calcium carbonate, rolling back and forth in the water as the mineral builds up. Over time, the grain grows into a smooth, round pearl, sometimes reaching the size of a marble or even larger. Cave pearls are relatively rare and are prized by collectors for their beauty. They are formed by the same process that creates pearls in oysters, but instead of nacre, they are made of cave calcite. Limestone dams are formations that create natural terraces in cave streams. They form when water flows over a small ridge or obstacle on the cave floor, causing calcium carbonate to precipitate out of the water. Over time, this deposit builds up into a low dam that impounds water behind it, creating a pool. As water flows over the dam, more calcium carbonate is deposited, slowly raising the height of the dam. Multiple limestone dams can form in a series, creating a staircase of pools that reflects the flow of water through the cave. The colors of cave formations are determined by the impurities in the water that formed them. Pure calcium carbonate is white or colorless, but most cave formations have colors ranging from cream to brown to red, depending on the minerals dissolved in the water. Iron oxides create red and orange colors, manganese creates black and gray colors, copper creates green and blue colors. Organic material from the soil above the cave can create yellow and brown colors. The patterns of color in cave formations often reveal the changing conditions under which they formed over thousands of years. The formations of caves are among the slowest growing structures in the natural world. A stalactite grows at a rate that is measured in millimeters per century. A column may require tens of thousands of years to form. The formations that we see in caves today began growing long before human civilization, before the last ice age, before our species even existed. When we touch a stalactite or admire a column, we are touching something that has been growing since before our ancestors first walked the earth. Water is the sculptor of the underground world, and nowhere is this more evident than in the rivers and lakes that flow through caves. Underground rivers are among the most powerful geological forces on Earth, carving vast passages through solid rock over millions of years. These hidden waterways flow through the darkness, their courses determined by the structure of the rock, their power derived from the endless cycle of rainfall and erosion. Exploring an underground river is to witness the creative power of water in its most elemental form. Underground rivers begin on the surface, where rainfall seeps into the ground and follows the path of least resistance through the rock. As the water moves downward, it dissolves the limestone, slowly enlarging cracks and fissures into passages. Over time, these passages grow large enough to carry significant flows of water, creating the underground rivers that flow through many cave systems. The water in these rivers is often crystal clear, filtered by its passage through the rock, but it can also carry sediment and dissolved minerals that give it a distinctive color and taste. The flow of an underground river is different from the flow of a surface river. Underground rivers are not subject to the wind or the weather, and they do not freeze in winter or dry up in summer. Their flow is more constant, regulated by the slow movement of water through the rock. However, underground rivers can flood dramatically after heavy rains, as water pours into the cave system through sinkholes and other surface connections. These floods can transform a dry cave passage into a raging torrent in a matter of hours, and cavers must be constantly aware of the risk of flash flooding in active cave systems. Underground lakes form in caves where water collects in low points in the passages. These lakes can be small pools only a few meters across, or vast underground bodies of water that stretch for hundreds of meters. The water in underground lakes is often perfectly clear and still, reflecting the cave formations above like a mirror. In some caves, the lakes are so clear that they appear invisible, and the formations on the bottom of the lake can be seen as clearly as if there were no water at all. The stillness of an underground lake, combined with the absolute silence of the cave, creates one of the most peaceful environments on Earth. The water in underground rivers and lakes is often rich in dissolved minerals, giving it a hardness that is noticeable to the touch. These minerals are what create the cave formations that grow in the passages above and around the water. The water also carries nutrients that support the cave ecosystem, including organic matter that has washed in from the surface. In some caves, the water is so pure that it contains almost no dissolved minerals at all, and it has a taste that is remarkably clean and fresh. Underground rivers and lakes are home to a variety of specialized aquatic animals. Cave fish, which have lost their eyes and pigmentation over generations of evolution in darkness, swim in the cold, clear water. Blind cave shrimp and other crustaceans crawl along the bottom, feeding on organic matter. Tiny aquatic snails and worms live in the sediment, processing the organic material that settles out of the water. These cave-adapted animals are found nowhere else on Earth, and they represent the extreme end of adaptation to life in darkness. The exploration of underground rivers is one of the most challenging and rewarding aspects of caving. Cavers must often swim through cold water, navigate narrow passages, and portage their equipment around obstacles. The rewards of this exploration include the discovery of new passages, the beauty of underground lakes and waterfalls, and the unique experience of floating in perfect darkness on water that may not have seen the light of day for thousands of years. Some cave divers spend years exploring the submerged passages of underwater caves, venturing into a world that is even more inaccessible than the dry passages above. The relationship between surface water and underground water is complex and dynamic. Sinkholes, also called swallow holes, are places where surface streams disappear underground, plunging into the cave system below. Resurgences are places where underground water emerges back to the surface, often as large springs that feed surface rivers and streams. The interaction between surface and underground water shapes the landscape above and below, creating the distinctive topography of karst regions, with their sinking streams, dry valleys, and sudden springs. Many of the world's largest cave passages have been carved by underground rivers. The Sun Dong Cave in Vietnam, the largest cave in the world by volume, was formed by an underground river that still flows through it today. The river carved a passage that is more than 5 kilometers long, 200 meters high, and 150 meters wide in places, large enough to contain a Boeing 747. The scale of these river-carved passages is a testament to the power of water and the immense spans of time over which caves form. The sound of water is one of the most constant features of the cave environment. The drip of water from stalactites creates a steady percussion that echoes through the passages. The flow of an underground river creates a low, constant rumble that can be felt as much as heard. The splash of a waterfall in a cave chamber creates a sound that fills the space and seems to come from all directions at once. In the silence of the cave, even the smallest sound of water is amplified and transformed, creating an acoustic environment that is unique to the underground world. Life in a cave is life pushed to its limits. In the total darkness of the deep cave, there is no photosynthesis, no plants, no daily cycle of light and dark. The temperature is constant, the humidity is near 100%, and food is scarce. Yet life persists in this challenging environment, adapted in remarkable ways to the conditions of the underground world. Cave animals, called troglobites, are among the most specialized creatures on Earth, having evolved over thousands of generations to thrive in a world without light. The most obvious adaptation of cave animals is the loss of eyes and pigment. In the total darkness of a cave, eyes are useless, and they are a costly organ to maintain. Over generations, cave animals have evolved to lose their eyes, their skin becoming pale or transparent as pigment becomes unnecessary. Blind cave fish are the classic example, swimming through underground rivers with no eyes, navigating instead by their highly developed lateral line system that detects vibrations in the water. Their bodies are pale and translucent, their skin thin and delicate. Cave insects and other arthropods have also lost their eyes and pigment, but they have developed other senses to compensate. Long antennae and sensitive hairs detect the slightest air movements and vibrations. Enhanced senses of smell and taste help them locate food in the darkness. Some cave arthropods have elongated legs and bodies that allow them to move efficiently through the narrow spaces of the cave environment. The cave cricket, one of the most common cave visitors, has antennae that are several times the length of its body, allowing it to navigate in total darkness. Bats are among the most famous inhabitants of caves, but they are not true cave animals in the sense that they depend on caves for their entire lives. Bats use caves for roosting and hibernation, but they feed outside, emerging at night to hunt insects. The relationship between bats and caves is an important one, as bats bring nutrients from the outside world into the cave in the form of their guano, which forms the base of the food chain for many cave animals. Bat guano supports entire ecosystems of specialized insects, mites, and bacteria that have adapted to life in the darkness. The guano deposits that accumulate beneath bat roosts are among the richest food sources in any cave ecosystem. These deposits can be many meters deep in caves that have been used by bats for thousands of years. The guano is colonized by fungi and bacteria that break down the organic matter, and these microorganisms are consumed by a variety of cave-adapted insects and other invertebrates. The guano ecosystem is a world within a world, a complex community of organisms that depend entirely on the nutrients brought in by the bats from the surface. Cave bacteria and other microorganisms are among the most remarkable inhabitants of the underground world. Some cave bacteria are chemosynthetic, deriving their energy not from sunlight but from the oxidation of minerals in the cave environment. These bacteria form biofilms on cave walls and in cave streams, creating thin, slimy layers that are the foundation of the cave food web. Some of these bacteria are extremophiles, capable of surviving on the barest minimum of nutrients in the most challenging conditions. The study of cave bacteria has revealed new insights into the limits of life on Earth and the potential for life in extreme environments on other planets. Cave ecosystems are fragile and easily disturbed by human activity. The organisms that live in caves have evolved in a stable, unchanging environment, and they are not adapted to cope with change. A single footprint can crush years of growth of a cave biofilm. A change in the humidity or temperature of a cave can kill delicate cave formations and the organisms that depend on them. Cavers must take great care to minimize their impact on the cave environment, staying on established paths, avoiding touching formations, and removing all traces of their passage. The isolation of cave ecosystems has led to the evolution of species that are found nowhere else on Earth. Many cave animals have very limited ranges, sometimes living in only a single cave system or even a single passage within a cave. This endemism makes cave animals particularly vulnerable to extinction, as any disturbance to their habitat could wipe out an entire species. The conservation of cave ecosystems is an important priority for biologists and cavers alike. One of the most fascinating aspects of cave life is the way that different species have adapted to the scarcity of food in the underground environment. Cave animals often have very slow metabolisms, allowing them to survive on minimal food for long periods. They grow slowly, reproduce slowly, and live long lives compared to their surface relatives. Some cave fish can survive for months without eating, and some cave insects have life cycles that span many years. The slow pace of life in the cave is an adaptation to the slow pace of the cave environment itself. The study of cave life is called biospeleology, and it is a relatively young field of science. Each year, new species of cave-adapted animals are discovered, and the total number of known troglodytic species is now in the thousands. The diversity of life in caves is much greater than was once believed, and each new discovery reveals new insights into the remarkable adaptability of life. Caves are not barren wastelands, but rich ecosystems, teeming with life that is invisible to the casual observer, but fascinating to the scientist who takes the time to look. The beauty of caves lies not only in their scale and darkness, but in the delicate and intricate mineral formations that decorate their walls, ceilings, and floors. Beyond the familiar stalactites and stalagmites, caves contain a remarkable diversity of mineral formations, each with its own unique shape, color, and method of growth. These formations are created by the slow deposition of minerals from water, and they represent some of the most exquisite natural sculptures on Earth. Cave minerals form when water-containing dissolved minerals enters a cave and deposits those minerals on the cave surfaces. The most common cave mineral is calcite, a form of calcium carbonate, but many other minerals can be found in caves, including aragonite, gypsum, and various oxides and sulfides. The specific minerals that form in a cave depend on the geology of the surrounding rock and the chemistry of the water that flows through it. Each mineral creates its own characteristic formations, adding to the diversity and beauty of the cave environment. Aragonite is a mineral that has the same chemical composition as calcite, but a different crystal structure. It forms in caves under specific conditions of temperature, humidity, and water chemistry. Aragonite crystals can take many forms, including needle-like clusters, branching coral-like formations, and delicate flower-like structures. Aragonite is often found in the form of cave flowers, clusters of crystals that radiate outward from a central point, creating formations that resemble exotic blossoms growing from the cave walls. Gypsum is another common cave mineral, forming under different conditions than calcite. Gypsum is calcium sulfate, and it forms when water containing sulfuric acid reacts with the limestone. Gypsum formations can take many forms, including long, silky fibers that grow from the cave walls and ceilings, creating formations called gypsum flowers or cave cotton. Gypsum can also form as transparent or translucent crystals that grow in the mud on the cave floor, creating fields of shimmering crystal that reflect the light of a headlamp in 1,000 different directions. Helictites are among the most mysterious and beautiful of all cave formations. Unlike stalactites, which grow straight down in response to gravity, helictites grow in twisted, curving patterns that seem to defy gravity. They can grow sideways, upward, or in spirals, branching like coral as they extend from the cave walls and ceilings. The mechanism by which helictites form is still not fully understood, but it is believed to involve capillary forces that draw water through tiny central canals in the formation, allowing it to grow in any direction regardless of gravity. Cave pearls are spherical formations that form in shallow pools of water on the cave floor. They begin when a small grain of sand or other debris becomes coated with a layer of calcite. As the grain rolls back and forth in the water, it is coated with additional layers of calcite, slowly building into a smooth, round pearl. Cave pearls can range in size from tiny grains to spheres several centimeters in diameter. They are relatively rare and are prized by collectors for their beauty and the patience required for their formation. Limestone dams are formations that create natural terraces in cave streams. They form when water flows over a small ridge on the cave floor, causing calcite to precipitate out of the water. The calcite builds up into a low dam that impounds water behind it, creating a pool. Multiple limestone dams can form in a series, creating a staircase of pools that reflects the flow of water through the cave. Limestone pools are among the most beautiful features of many caves, their clear water reflecting the formations above, like a series of natural mirrors. Cave popcorn, also known as coralloids, are small, knobby formations that grow on cave walls and ceilings. They form when water seeps through the rock and evaporates on the surface, depositing calcite in small, rounded bumps. Cave popcorn can cover large areas of cave walls, creating surfaces that look like they are covered in pale stone popcorn. The texture of cave popcorn is rough and porous, and it often forms in association with other cave formations. Boxwork is a rare and beautiful formation that consists of thin blades of calcite that project from the cave walls and ceilings. These blades form when calcite fills cracks in the limestone, and then the surrounding limestone is dissolved away, leaving the calcite blades standing in relief. Boxwork formations can create intricate patterns on the cave walls, resembling honeycombs or networks of thin, intersecting blades. Some of the best examples of boxwork are found in Wind Cave in South Dakota, where the boxwork formations are among the most extensive in the world. The colors of cave minerals are determined by the impurities they contain. Pure calcite is white or colorless, but traces of other elements can create a rainbow of colors. Iron creates red, orange, and yellow. Manganese creates black and gray. Copper creates green and blue. Organic material from the soil above the cave creates brown and tan. The patterns of color in cave formations often reveal the changing conditions under which they formed, creating a record of environmental change that spans thousands of years. The formations of caves are among the most delicate and easily damaged features of the natural world. A single touch can transfer oils from human skin that inhibit further growth, and a broken formation will never grow back within a human lifetime. Cavers follow strict guidelines to protect cave formations, staying on established paths, avoiding touching the formations, and never removing samples from the cave. The beauty of cave formations is a gift that we can admire but must not take, a reminder that some things are precious precisely because they are fragile and irreplaceable. The deepest caves on Earth represent the ultimate challenge for explorers and the most extreme environment for cave formation. These are the vertical abysses, the pits and shafts that plunge thousands of meters into the earth, connecting networks of passages that descend far below the surface. The exploration of the deepest caves is a test of human endurance, skill, and courage, requiring months of preparation, complex rope systems, and the ability to survive for days or weeks in the underground wilderness. The deepest known cave in the world is Veryovkina Cave in the country of Georgia, which reaches a depth of more than 2,200 meters. Located in the Arabica Massif of the Western Caucasus, Veryovkina Cave was discovered in 1968, but was not fully explored until 2018, when a Russian speleological team reached its final depth. The descent to the bottom of Veryovkina Cave takes several days, requiring cavers to rappel down enormous shafts, squeeze through narrow passages, and cross underground rivers. The cave is a vertical labyrinth, a three-dimensional puzzle of passages that descend through the mountain like a spiral staircase. The second deepest cave is Krubera Voronja Cave, also in Georgia, which reaches a depth of about 2,200 meters. Krubera was the deepest known cave in the world for many years before the exploration of Veryovkina surpassed it. The exploration of Krubera Cave was a milestone in the history of speleology, requiring multiple expeditions over many years to reach the bottom. The cave is named after the Russian geographer Alexander Kruber, and its exploration involved cavers from many different countries working together in extremely challenging conditions. The third deepest cave is Sarma Cave, also in the Arabica Massif of Georgia, reaching a depth of about 1,800 meters. The Arabica Massif is a limestone plateau on the eastern coast of the Black Sea, and it contains some of the deepest caves in the world. The plateau's geology, with its thick limestone layers and high rainfall, creates ideal conditions for the formation of deep cave systems. The Arabica caves are among the most challenging and rewarding exploration targets in the world of speleology. The exploration of deep caves requires specialized techniques and equipment. Cavers must be skilled in single rope technique, or SRT, which allows them to ascend and descend vertical shafts using ropes, ascenders, and descenders. They must be prepared to spend multiple days underground, carrying all their food, water, and equipment with them. Underground camps are established in larger chambers where cavers can rest, eat, and sleep before continuing their descent. The psychological challenges of deep caving are as significant as the physical ones, requiring the ability to remain calm and focused in a dark, confined, and potentially dangerous environment. Deep caves present unique dangers beyond those of shallower caves. The pressure and temperature can change with depth, and the air can become stagnant or contain elevated levels of carbon dioxide. Flooding is a constant risk in active cave systems, and cavers must be aware of weather conditions on the surface that could cause water levels to rise underground. Rockfall is another hazard, particularly in the active tectonic environment of the Caucasus Mountains. The combination of these risks makes deep caving one of the most dangerous forms of exploration on Earth. The deepest caves in the world are all found in limestone, but they also share another characteristic. They are located in regions of high rainfall and active tectonics. The combination of soluble rock, abundant water, and geological uplift creates the conditions for deep cave formation. The water that carves these caves flows downward through the rock, following fractures and bedding planes, gradually dissolving the limestone and creating the vertical shafts that make these caves so deep. The process is slow, requiring millions of years to create caves that descend more than 2 kilometers into the earth. The exploration of deep caves has revealed not only extreme depths but also remarkable discoveries about the geology and biology of the deep underground. Deep cave sediments contain records of past climates and past landscapes. Deep cave animals, adapted to the complete darkness and extreme conditions, have been found at depths that were once thought to be beyond the limits of life. The study of deep caves has expanded our understanding of the limits of the biosphere and the remarkable adaptability of life. One of the most remarkable aspects of deep cave exploration is the psychological experience of being far underground. At a depth of 2 kilometers, the weight of the rock above creates a sense of isolation that is difficult to describe. The silence is complete, broken only by the sound of dripping water and the occasional rumble of distant rock movements. The temperature is constant, the darkness is absolute, and the only connection to the surface world is the thin line of the rope that descends through the shafts above. For the cavers who explore these depths, the experience is both challenging and profoundly moving. The deepest caves on Earth have now all been explored to their final depths, but many deep cave systems remain undiscovered. The Arabica Massif alone contains dozens of deep caves, and new ones are discovered every year. Other regions of the world, including Mexico, Papua New Guinea, and China, contain deep cave systems that have not yet been fully explored. The exploration of the deepest caves on Earth is an ongoing adventure, and the next great discovery may be just around the corner, waiting in the darkness for someone to find it. Ice caves are among the most beautiful and ephemeral of all cave environments. Unlike the limestone caves that form over millions of years, ice caves are relatively young formations, created and destroyed by the seasonal rhythms of freezing and melting. They form in glaciers and in the permanent snowfields of high mountains, where meltwater carves tunnels through the ice. These caves are cathedrals of frozen light, their walls glowing with an ethereal blue that seems to come from within the ice itself. Glacier caves form when meltwater flows through or beneath a glacier, carving tunnels in the ice. During the summer months, the surface of the glacier melts, and the water flows down into the glacier through cracks and crevasses. Once inside the glacier, the water follows the path of least resistance, melting the ice and creating passages that can extend for kilometers. The water continues to flow through these passages, gradually enlarging them over the course of the summer. When winter comes and the meltwater stops flowing, the passages remain as empty tunnels in the ice. The most distinctive feature of glacier caves is the color of the ice. Glacial ice absorbs most wavelengths of light but scatters blue light, giving the ice a deep blue color that is most intense in the thickest parts of the cave. When sunlight penetrates through the ice above, the cave glows with an otherworldly blue light that seems to come from all directions at once. The effect is most dramatic on sunny days, when the entire cave is bathed in a soft, ethereal blue glow. Walking through a glacier cave is like walking through a giant sapphire. Glacier caves are constantly changing. The ice is always moving, flowing downhill under its own weight, and the passages within the glacier are constantly being reshaped by this movement. Cracks open and close, passages collapse and new passages form as the glacier shifts and changes. A glacier cave that is passable one year may be completely gone the next, collapsed by the movement of the ice or filled with meltwater. The ephemeral nature of glacier caves makes each visit a unique experience, a fleeting encounter with a world that will not exist in the same form again. Sea caves are another type of cave formed by the action of water, but in this case, the water is the ocean itself. Sea caves form when waves erode weaknesses in coastal cliffs, slowly carving tunnels and chambers into the rock. The process is driven by the constant pounding of waves, which grind away at the rock using sand and pebbles as abrasives. Over time, this erosion can create sea caves that extend deep into the cliffs, with entrances that are often only visible at low tide. The most famous sea caves are found along the coastlines of the world, from the sea caves of the Greek islands to the sea arches of Scotland to the sea caves of the Pacific Northwest. The Blue Grotto on the island of Capri in Italy is one of the most famous sea caves in the world, known for the brilliant blue light that fills its interior. The light enters through an underwater opening and is refracted by the water, creating a blue glow that illuminates the entire cave. The effect is magical, a natural light show that has attracted visitors for centuries. Lava tubes are caves formed by volcanic activity. When a volcano erupts, molten rock flows across the surface in streams of lava. The surface of the lava stream cools and solidifies, forming a crust, while the molten rock beneath continues to flow. When the eruption ends and the molten rock drains away, it leaves behind a hollow tube in the shape of the original lava stream. Lava tubes can be quite extensive, with some systems stretching for many kilometers. The Kazumura Cave system in Hawaii is the longest lava tube in the world, with more than 65 kilometers of mapped passages. Lava tubes have a distinctive appearance that is very different from limestone caves. The walls are smooth and glassy, formed by the solidification of molten rock. The floor is often rough and uneven, covered with the remnants of the last lava to flow through the tube. Lava stalactites can form on the ceiling, created by dripping molten rock, but they are very different from the calcite stalactites of limestone caves. Lava tube caves are found in volcanic regions around the world, including Hawaii, Iceland, the Canary Islands, and the Pacific Northwest. Ice caves, sea caves, and lava tubes are all reminders that caves form in many different ways and in many different environments. Each type of cave has its own unique characteristics, its own beauty, and its own story to tell. The ice cave speaks of the power of freezing and melting, the sea cave of the relentless energy of the ocean, the lava tube of the molten heart of the earth. Together, they reveal the many ways that water, ice, and fire can shape the underground world. The ephemeral nature of ice caves gives them a special poignancy. Unlike the stone caves that will last for millions of years, an ice cave is a temporary phenomenon, a fleeting moment in the life of a glacier. The ice that forms the walls of the cave may be thousands of years old, but the cave itself will be reshaped or destroyed within a single season. To enter an ice cave is to witness a process of creation and destruction that is happening on a human timescale, a reminder that even the most permanent seeming features of the landscape are constantly changing. Of all the ways that caves can form, lava tubes are among the most dramatic and fascinating. They are created not by the slow dissolution of rock, but by the flow of molten rock itself, a process that is violent and immediate rather than patient and gradual. Lava tubes are born in fire, and they carry within them the evidence of the volcanic forces that shape them. Walking through a lava tube is to walk through the veins of the earth, following paths that were once filled with liquid rock at temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius. Lava tubes form when a volcano erupts and molten basalt flows across the landscape. The surface of the lava flow is exposed to the air and cools rapidly, forming a solid crust. Beneath this crust, the molten rock continues to flow, insulated by the solid layer above. The lava behaves like a liquid, following the path of least resistance downhill. As it flows, it erodes the ground beneath it, melting and incorporating the underlying rock. The channel through which the lava flows becomes deeper and wider over time, creating a tube-shaped passage beneath the solid surface crust. When the eruption ends, the supply of molten rock stops. The lava that remains in the tube continues to flow downhill, gradually draining out of the tube. What remains is a hollow passage, a tunnel in the shape of the original lava stream. The walls of the tube are lined with the solidified remains of the last lava to flow through them, often preserving the texture and flow patterns of the molten rock. The floor of the tube may be flat or uneven, depending on how the lava drained out. In some places, the roof of the tube may have collapsed, creating skylights that allow sunlight and vegetation to enter the cave. The Kazumura Cave system in Hawaii is the longest and deepest lava tube in the world. Located on the eastern slope of Kilauea Volcano, Kazumura Cave has more than 65 kilometers of mapped passages and extends more than 1 kilometer in depth. The cave was formed by lava flows from Kilauea over the past several hundred years, and it continues to be explored and mapped by cavers today. The passages of Kazumura Cave vary from narrow, crawlable tubes to huge chambers large enough to drive a truck through. Lava tubes have a distinctive appearance that sets them apart from limestone caves. The walls are smooth and glassy, formed by the rapid cooling of the molten rock. The surface of the walls often displays flow lines and other features that record the movement of the lava. The ceiling may have lava stalactites, formed by dripping molten rock, as well as other features such as lava shelves and lava benches. The floor of a lava tube is often covered with a rough, clinkery surface called AA, which is formed when the lava cools and breaks apart as it flows. Lava tubes can contain a variety of unique formations that are not found in other types of caves. Lava stalactites, also called lavasicles, form when molten rock drips from the ceiling and solidifies. Unlike calcite stalactites, which grow slowly over thousands of years, lava stalactites form in a matter of hours or days as the lava drains from the tube. They are often twisted and irregular in shape, reflecting the turbulent flow of the molten rock. Lava benches form on the sides of the tube, marking the level of the lava at different stages of the flow. The temperature inside a lava tube is remarkably stable, reflecting the insulating properties of the surrounding rock. In Hawaii, the temperature inside lava tubes is typically around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, regardless of the temperature outside. The humidity is high and the air is still and quiet. Some lava tubes contain unique ecosystems, with specialized organisms that have adapted to life in the volcanic underground. These organisms include bacteria that derive their energy from the oxidation of iron and sulfur in the volcanic rock. Lava tubes are found in volcanic regions around the world. Iceland has extensive lava tube systems, formed by the volcanic activity that shapes the island. The Canary Islands, the Galapagos Islands, and the Azores all have lava tubes. The Moon and Mars also have lava tubes, which have been identified by spacecraft images of their surfaces. These extraterrestrial lava tubes are of great interest to scientists, as they could provide shelter for future human explorers and may contain evidence of past or present life. The exploration of lava tubes has revealed important information about volcanic processes and the geological history of the regions where they are found. The layers of lava in the walls of a tube record the sequence of eruptions that formed them. The minerals deposited on the walls of the tube provide information about the chemistry of the lava and the gases that were released during the eruption. The study of lava tubes has also provided insights into the formation of similar features on other planets and moons in our solar system. Lava tubes are a reminder that caves can form in many different ways and in many different environments. While limestone caves speak of the patient work of water over millions of years, lava tubes speak of the sudden, violent power of volcanic eruptions. They are tunnels of fire, frozen in stone, preserving the memory of the molten rock that once flowed through them. To walk through a lava tube is to walk through the aftermath of creation, to see the earth in the act of building itself. Caves have been part of the human experience for as long as our species has existed. Our ancient ancestors used caves for shelter, protection, and ceremony, and the evidence of their presence can be found in caves on every continent. The relationship between humans and caves is one of the oldest and most profound connections between our species and the natural world. Caves provided our ancestors with a place of safety, a canvas for their art, and a gateway to the spiritual world. The earliest evidence of human use of caves comes from the remains of campfires, tools, and food debris found in caves throughout Africa and Eurasia. These remains show that our ancestors used caves as temporary shelters, returning to them year after year as they followed the migrations of the animals they hunted. The caves provided protection from the elements and from predators, and they offered a stable environment where people could rest, cook, and make tools. The remains found in these caves have provided archaeologists with invaluable insights into the lives of our ancient ancestors. The most famous evidence of human use of caves is the cave art of the Upper Paleolithic period, created between 40,000 and 10,000 years ago. The caves of Lascaux in France, Altamira in Spain, and Chauvet in France contain some of the most exquisite examples of prehistoric art ever discovered. These paintings depict animals such as horses, bison, mammoths, and deer, often rendered with remarkable skill and sensitivity. The artists used natural pigments, including charcoal, ochre, and manganese, to create images that have survived for tens of thousands of years. The purpose of cave art is still a subject of debate among archaeologists. Some believe that the paintings were part of hunting rituals, intended to ensure success in the hunt. Others believe that they were part of shamanic practices, created by spiritual leaders who entered the caves to communicate with the spirit world. Still others believe that the art was simply an expression of the human desire to create beauty, a testament to the artistic impulse that has always been a part of our species. Whatever their purpose, the cave paintings of the Paleolithic are among the greatest artistic achievements of all time. Caves have also played an important role in human spiritual and religious traditions. In many cultures, caves were seen as portals to the underworld, places where the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead was thin. The ancient Greeks believed that caves were entrances to the underworld, the realm of Hades. The Maya of Central America believed that caves were entrances to Xibalba, the underworld where the gods of death and disease lived. In many cultures, caves were used for rituals and ceremonies, including initiation rites, funerary practices, and offerings to the gods. The use of caves for burial is one of the most widespread and enduring human practices associated with caves. From the ancient burial caves of the Mediterranean to the cave tombs of Southeast Asia, Caves have been used as final resting places for the dead for thousands of years. The stable temperature and humidity of caves, combined with their isolation and protection from the elements, made them ideal locations for burials. Many of these burial caves have yielded important archaeological remains, including human remains, burial goods, and inscriptions that have provided insights into ancient cultures. In more recent history, caves have been used as hiding places and refuges during times of conflict. During wartime, caves have provided shelter for civilians fleeing violence, hiding places for resistance fighters, and secret bases for military operations. The caves of Vietnam were used as hospitals, command centers, and living quarters during the Vietnam War. The caves of Afghanistan have been used as hiding places by fighters for decades. The use of caves as refuges in times of conflict is a continuation of a tradition that goes back to the earliest days of our species. Caves have also been used for more practical purposes throughout history. Cave ice was harvested from ice caves and used for refrigeration before the invention of modern cooling systems. Cave guano was mined for use as fertilizer, and cave minerals were collected for use in traditional medicines. In some parts of the world, caves are still used as living spaces, with homes built into the mouths of caves or carved into the rock of cave walls. The cave dwellings of Matera in Italy and Cappadocia in Turkey are famous examples of cave architecture that has been inhabited for thousands of years. Today, caves are valued for their scientific, recreational, and aesthetic qualities. Scientists study caves to understand geological processes, climate history, and the evolution of life. Cavers explore caves for the challenge and the beauty they find underground. Tourists visit show caves, caves that have been developed with lights and paths, to experience the wonder of the underground world. The relationship between humans and caves continues to evolve, but the fundamental attraction of the underground remains the same. Caves are places of mystery and beauty, of silence and darkness, of connection to the deep history of our planet and our species. The deepest parts of caves are not dark, silent voids, but living worlds, teeming with microscopic life that is only now being discovered and understood. Cave microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and other microbes, form the foundation of the cave ecosystem, cycling nutrients and shaping the cave environment in ways that are only beginning to be appreciated. The study of cave microbiology has revealed a hidden world of life that exists at the limits of what is possible on Earth. Cave biofilms are thin layers of microorganisms that cover the surfaces of caves, from the walls and ceilings to the floors and formations. These biofilms are composed of complex communities of bacteria, fungi, and other microbes that live together in a matrix of slime that they produce themselves. The biofilms are often invisible to the naked eye, but they can be seen as a faint sheen on cave surfaces, particularly when illuminated at the right angle. Under a microscope, these biofilms reveal a world of extraordinary complexity, with different species of microbes living in close association with each other. One of the most remarkable discoveries in cave microbiology is the existence of chemolithoautotrophic bacteria, bacteria that derive their energy not from sunlight or organic matter, but from the oxidation of inorganic minerals. These bacteria are the primary producers in many cave ecosystems, forming the base of the food web in the same way that plants do on the surface. They obtain their energy by oxidizing compounds such as iron, sulfur, and manganese, using the energy released by these chemical reactions to fix carbon dioxide into organic matter. The discovery of these bacteria has fundamentally changed our understanding of how life can exist in the deep underground. Cave bacteria are also involved in the formation and destruction of cave minerals. Some bacteria can dissolve limestone, contributing to the formation of caves. Others can precipitate minerals, contributing to the growth of stalactites and other formations. The role of bacteria in cave formation is a relatively new area of research, and it has revealed that caves are not purely geological features, but are also biological ones. The interaction between bacteria and minerals is a two-way process, with bacteria shaping the cave environment and the cave environment shaping the evolution of the bacteria. One of the most fascinating examples of cave microbiology is the discovery of extremophilic bacteria in the deepest parts of caves. These bacteria can survive in conditions that would be fatal to most other forms of life, including high temperatures, high pressure, low oxygen, and high concentrations of toxic minerals. The study of these extremophiles has provided insights into the limits of life on Earth and the potential for life in extreme environments on other planets. Some of the bacteria found in deep caves are genetically distinct from any known surface bacteria, suggesting that they have been isolated underground for millions of years. Cave fungi are another important component of the cave ecosystem. Fungi break down organic matter that enters the cave from the surface, including dead insects, animal droppings, and plant debris. They also form symbiotic relationships with cave bacteria and with the roots of plants that grow near cave entrances. Some cave fungi produce antibiotics and other compounds that may have medical applications. The study of cave fungi is still in its early stages, and many new species are being discovered each year. The biofilms of cave walls are responsible for one of the most beautiful phenomena in the underground world, the natural glow of cave walls under ultraviolet light. Many cave bacteria and fungi produce fluorescent compounds that glow in brilliant colors when illuminated by UV light. These biofilms create patterns of green, blue, and red fluorescence on cave walls, transforming the dark passages into galleries of living light. The fluorescence is believed to be a byproduct of the metabolic processes of the microbes, but its function, if any, is not fully understood. The study of cave microorganisms has also revealed the presence of antibiotic-resistant bacteria in caves that have never been exposed to human antibiotics. The discovery of these naturally resistant bacteria suggests that antibiotic resistance is an ancient phenomenon, predating the use of antibiotics by humans by millions of years. The study of cave bacteria may provide insights into the mechanisms of antibiotic resistance and help in the development of new antibiotics to combat resistant infections. Cave microorganisms have also been found to degrade pollutants, including petroleum products and industrial chemicals. The ability of some cave bacteria to break down these compounds suggests potential applications in bioremediation, the use of living organisms to clean up contaminated environments. The unique metabolic capabilities of cave bacteria evolved in the challenging conditions of the underground world may have practical applications that we are only beginning to explore. The study of cave microbiology is a frontier of scientific research, with new discoveries being made every year. Each cave that is explored reveals new microbial communities adapted to the unique conditions of that particular cave. The diversity of life in caves is much greater than was once believed, and the study of this hidden world is revealing new insights into the nature of life itself, its adaptability, its resilience, and its ability to thrive in the most challenging environments on Earth. The silence of a deep cave is unlike any other silence on Earth. It is not the absence of sound, but the absence of the constant background noise of the surface world. In a deep cave, there is no wind, no rain, no birdsong, no distant traffic, no hum of human activity. The only sounds are the sounds that you make yourself and the slow, steady drip of water on stone. This silence is one of the most profound and memorable aspects of the cave experience, a quality that has drawn people to caves for thousands of years. The acoustic properties of caves are unique and remarkable. The hard, smooth surfaces of cave walls reflect sound with exceptional clarity, creating echoes that can be heard for many seconds after the original sound has stopped. The shape of the cave chamber determines how sound behaves within it. In a large chamber, sound echoes and reverberates, creating a rich, resonant acoustic environment. In a narrow passage, sound is absorbed by the irregular surfaces of the walls, creating a dead, muffled acoustic environment. The variation in acoustic properties from one part of a cave to another is part of what makes the cave environment so immersive and memorable. The water that flows through caves creates its own acoustic environment. The drip of water from stalactites creates a steady percussion that varies in rhythm and intensity depending on the rate of flow. The flow of an underground river creates a low, constant rumble that can be felt as much as heard. The splash of a waterfall in a cave chamber creates a sound that fills the space and seems to come from all directions at once. The sound of water in a cave is not random, but follows the rhythms of the water cycle, faster after rain, slower during dry periods. The water is the voice of the cave, speaking in a language of drips and flows and splashes. The silence of caves has been recognized as a valuable resource in our noisy modern world. Cave therapy, also called speleotherapy, is a practice in which people spend time in caves to benefit from the quiet, the pure air, and the stable environment. Speleotherapy has been used in some parts of Europe for the treatment of respiratory conditions, as the air in caves is free of pollen and other allergens. But the benefits of cave therapy may also be psychological, as the silence and darkness of the cave provide a respite from the constant stimulation of modern life. The absolute darkness of a deep cave is as striking as the silence. When the lights are turned off in a deep cave, the darkness is complete and total. There is no ambient light from any source, no starlight, no moonlight, no distant glow of a city. The darkness is a physical presence, a weight that presses against the eyes. In this darkness, the other senses become more acute. You become aware of the temperature of the air on your skin, the texture of the rock beneath your hands, the sound of your own breathing. The experience of complete darkness is both disorienting and liberating, a reminder of how dependent we are on our sense of sight. The combination of silence and darkness in a deep cave creates an environment that is profoundly conducive to meditation and introspection. Without the distractions of light and sound, the mind naturally turns inward. Thoughts become clearer, memories become sharper, and the sense of self becomes more focused. Many people who spend time in deep caves report experiences of heightened awareness, clarity of thought, and a deep sense of peace. The cave is a natural meditation chamber, a space that has been used for spiritual and contemplative practices for thousands of years. The silence of caves is also of scientific value. The quiet acoustic environment of caves makes them ideal locations for sensitive scientific instruments, including seismometers that detect earthquakes and other instruments that measure the subtle vibrations of the earth. Some of the most sensitive gravitational wave detectors in the world are located in underground laboratories, where they are shielded from the noise and vibration of the surface world. The silence of the underground is a resource for science as well as for the human spirit. The experience of silence and darkness in a cave has a profound effect on the human sense of time. Without the visual cues of the changing light of day, without the sounds of the daily rhythms of the surface world, time seems to pass differently underground. Hours can feel like minutes, and minutes can feel like hours. The steady drip of water becomes a kind of clock, marking the passage of time in a way that is both regular and hypnotic. The loss of normal time cues can be disorienting, but it can also be liberating, freeing the mind from the constant pressure of the clock. The silence and darkness of caves are among the most precious and fragile qualities of the underground world. A single sound can echo for minutes in a quiet cave chamber, and a single light can destroy the darkness that has existed for thousands of years. Cavers and cave visitors are taught to move quietly and to use their light sparingly, to minimize their impact on the cave environment and to allow others to experience the silence and darkness that make caves so special. The preservation of cave silence and darkness is an important part of cave conservation, a recognition that some of the most valuable qualities of the underground world are the ones that cannot be seen but only felt. As our story slowly comes to an end, allow the final thoughts to fade gently into the quiet of the night. The rain and the calm ideas and the peaceful moments we've explored can settle softly in the background like distant echoes of a quiet evening. There is no need to think about anything now. Your body can continue to relax, breathing slow and steady. If you are still awake, simply remain here a little longer and enjoy the calm atmosphere. And if sleep has already started to find you, let it arrive naturally and without effort. Thank you for spending this quiet moment here on Cozy Sleep Time. If you enjoy these calm stories and gentle explorations, you can return anytime for another peaceful journey into rest. For now, let the night grow quieter and quieter and quieter, and allow yourself to drift deeper into sleep. Good night.